Go. Okay, cool. So since I am now recording the Zoom rooms, it means I have to have my microphone on for my webcam.
Okay, so that means that we have to turn off our phone.
You have to turn off your sound or mute your computer. Yes, anytime the Zoom room is open. It's a little different. I can also like force mute you, and then which is
Wait, we don't.
Yeah, just don't turn audio.
okay. Yeah, then just don't join without. Perfect. That works too. Also, keep in mind that because now that this is recording audio, it will pick up classroom noise too. So when we're live, it's important that you keep quiet, or not keep quiet, but like be aware that there is a microphone that's recording now. And so just be respectful of that and aware of that. Okay. So that also means there's captions now, which is cool. So if you're in the Zoom room, you can see, in theory, you should be able to see my captions. I don't know for sure. And that should be once YouTube decides that it's working and whatever. And anyway, as if you can't tell, I'm also a little bit out of it today. So we're going to take it real slow, real easy, kind of get back into the swing of stuff. All right. So phase 3, this is the final version, the completed version, so to speak, of your website. This is including all of the relevant content. So instead of having placeholders, it's got actual images, actual text, actual stuff like that that's relevant to your location. And your site is fully functional, fully styled, and ready to be submitted to the client by the end of the week. Yeah, so you've already done this work with the mock-up. You've got a good draft going here. Excuse me. You have a good draft that you're working with. Now it's time to start making little adjustments, leaving that draft where it is, and we're going to build upon it for the final version. What I have in mind for this week, excuse me, what I have in mind for this week is introducing a few little things that are going to make the layout of your site behave a little bit more accurately. I know some of y'all in this class and a few of my other 2nd and 6th period kids are having some frustrations trying to get divs to align, trying to get certain block level elements to behave the way that you want them to. We're going to cover things like that this week after we've done the drafting process. So basically, let's start with this first option right here, which is source coding. So I'm going to open up I'm actually not going to open up VS Code, just kidding. I'm going to open up my file explorer. So here we are in the file explorer. And then I'm going to go to my 1st period web design class. And then I currently have, let me actually make this a little bit smaller. It's a little bit easier to focus. There we go. So I have my 4.7.2 right here with all of my pages, all of my different stuff, right? Like my mockup is complete. So since we're source coding, you don't want to start completely from scratch. You want to actually take advantage of this draft. We're going to introduce just copying this folder, but then a specific way to remember which version is which. This is version history now. Okay. So basically, you guys know how to copy a folder, but we're going to check that box and then go down here to copy and then just right click again to paste it. It's going to have this 4.7.2 copy, which we're going to right click and rename to 4.7.3. So when your file folder goes big like this, I mean, the whole thing is blue in the rename, you can just hit the arrow key to put the cursor either at the end of the sentence, right here, mine's by the Y, or you can have it go to the front of the sentence. Right here, it's by the first B. So just use your arrow keys to pick a side on where you want to rename. So I'm just going to delete copy and change this to 4.7.3. Now, this part's really important because now we have 2 of the exact same web page, but with a slightly different name. So the first thing that you need to do is go into, I'm still in the file explorer, into your new 4.7.3 folder, right click on your first page. We're going to go ahead and go down here to open with. Once you have the box checked, you can right click and go to open with. And then right down here at the bottom, the blue Visual Studio Code, that's just going to pull it right up like this. What's up? You once you have the box checked, you right click or middle finger click and then go down to open with and then Visual Studio Code right down here.
What's the app? Is this Firefox?
This is Firefox up here. Visual Studio, I don't know. I haven't used video. I think it's like more of a
Visual Studio and like Visual Studio's codes like
yeah, it's like it's more just visual in general. This one's specific to code. Anyway, So that's going to open up this page right here, which looks the same. This is where you're going to start seeing something called quick commenting. So hold on, guys. Settle down. All right, so I'm going to go right here. This is where I like to put mine. It can be anywhere inside of the head container. Technically, it can be anywhere on the page, but since it's sort of that invisible information, version numbering, you want to just kind of keep it all relevant to the tools that your website needs to function right up here. So I'm going to go to the end of line 8 and hit enter, and then I'm just going to write the phrase or the content v2, because this is our second version of this source code, right?
This is like a random, like not random, like this, does that have to put back random?
I'll show you. That's where quick commenting comes into play. So now that I have just this v2 right here, since it's inside the head and it's not attached to any element or tag, I've Control S to save, which I'll show you how to set autosave here in just a second. But this is not a comment. I want this to be a comment. Now we could do it the old-fashioned way of holding shift and then comma and then shift 1 and then dash dash. Oh, that's equals dash dash and then dash dash, and that's a lot of buttons. There's a lot of buttons to put a very small v2 in our head container. So what we'll do instead is just type v2, highlight it, and then if you hold Control on your keyboard and then hit question mark, which is also slash, it will comment that entire line and save us all of those clicks. So we have now labeled 4.7.3 page 1 as v2. And now, because I want to be careful with the differences, nothing's going to change inside the file explorer end of things. But we'll know that when we run this, when we open it up to start working on it before we debug, which is actually run the code, right? We can see that, oh, this is v2. You can even get more specific in your comment. You can go proj 4.7.3, whatever. I just like to put the version history inside of my head section right here. So when are you actually going to be changing that version history number? Pretty much anytime you make a major change, you could, like, let's say I've changed a lot of content on this page and I've done for the day. I'm going to pick it back up tomorrow. When I arrive, not 23, that's a lot of versions. I'm going to just change it to v3, control question mark, quickly make a little note that this is version 3 that I'm working with here. Basically, the way that I've worked in the past is that you only update versions once you've sent that to the client. So if you sent an incomplete version to your whoever's hired you, you can go, hey, this is v2. I worked on this. I changed this, that, the other thing, whatever. And they go, okay, can you make these adjustments? Can you change this position, this, that, whatever? You go, for sure. Before you make those changes, you switch it to v3 so that you have a different little history of where each of your changes are made. This is kind of something that's not really like objective, because there's different ways that different developers can make their version history numbers. But basically, the way that I do it is anytime I make a major change, I'll go in here to my head container, call this v2, highlight that, and do a quick comment, which is control question mark, and it will quickly add that little note inside of my head section. So what you can do that anywhere too. If I go here, this is unrelated, or not unrelated, but less related. So on line 18, if I want to make a quick comment like this is an update on 11.27 to v2, version 2. I can highlight that whole little note, and instead of doing the whole whatever, control question mark. It does take the whole line, unfortunately, which was not what I was expecting. So we'll take that off. Just kidding. Instead of doing all that, oh, I just saved. Dang. Hold on. Just kidding. It has not done that in the past. Okay, so if we go here and just instead of attaching it to a tag, this is an update from 11.27 to version 3. Control S. Now I'm going to highlight that, put it right underneath so that when I open this back up, I've left little notes for me to check in the past. Okay, so autosave. This is something that CodePen is really beneficial for, but it loses out on a lot of the VS Code extensions and functionalities and stuff like that. It is really, really easy to enable autosave. So to enable autosave in your VS Code, which is just something cool that you guys can use, you go right up here to File, and you just check this box right down here. So I'll highlight it with my, I guess these buttons. There we go. So File, right down here, just check this autosave box. Now, every time you make a change, it will automatically save to whatever root folder you have configured. So that's why it's really important that you set your root folder up first before you do anything crazy, because then once you have autosave all configured, it'll just naturally change whenever you make an update. So I recommend everybody turn that autosave checkbox on so that you aren't losing out on important work that you've done. You can still Control S, right? So if I just do some key mash, right, it'll just autosave that. But you can still Control S whenever you feel the need or feel the urge to, I guess. All right, so if we go to File, Open Folder, right now I'm going to open up 4.7.3 just by clicking on it like this. You can tell that it's got the folder selected because it's bold right down here. That'll pop open my 4.7.3 with my V2 on my page 1 here. So I'm just going to go through and make quick version notes on each of my pages. I'm doing it manually so you can see. You could just copy and paste it, but type out the version number, highlight it, and then Control question mark, and it's going to automatically comment it. Go here, V2, highlight, Control question mark, quick comment. This works for CSS too. So, like, let's say my styling is not working for my anchor. I can highlight this whole CSS little curly bracket container, Control question mark. It's going to comment that out in the CSS style, which is the */ version, and that's going to take it. You can use it as a switch. So let's say I don't like font weight bolder. I'm gonna comment that out real quick. Let's say text size is font size. Say font size of 200%. Okay, that accidentally breaks my page. So I'm just gonna comment that out so I don't lose that work, just in case I want it later on. I'm just set a color real quick so that it's not mad at me. Okay. So let's say I'm making these changes and they don't quite work, but I don't want to erase the whole line and try to tinker with why it's not working. Quick comment. Turn it off. Just switch it off. You can switch it back on later. It's exactly the same process. So if you want to switch it back on, Control question mark again. Just removes that comment and then re-enables whatever CSS or HTML you have on your pages. I know it's kind of boring, it's kind of lame, just little tweaks, little small adjustments, but if you use these consistently, they do become really valuable tools to keep track of what you're actually changing, what you're actually adjusting. Okay, let's look back at the agenda, see what else we have to cover today. I think that was it. So we went way too fast, or not me. We went really fast through this. So what I want you guys to do for the rest of the day, we'll go off the air, is copy your source folder and then go through and just try making some quick comments, because tomorrow during our block day we'll get more into something called Flexbox that lets you adjust your content on the page there. So your goal for today, you have 20 minutes to do so, is just make some quick comments in your HTML, in your CSS, and turn on autosave so you get a feel for how that process works so you can use it in the future. What's up? Okay. Does anybody have any questions, or did you guys' internet go out? Okay, I'll check your internet here. Okay, so I'm gonna go to the Zoom room. We're off the air. Just experiment with some quick commenting, Control / and put a version number somewhere. You can put a date. You can put a authored by your name, right? Whatever works for you. Just put some kind of version history tracker inside of your head container so that you know.
Copied one, right?
What's up?
There's only one copied one.
Yes, you can use this in any project, but this is the first time we've introduced it. Yeah, so in the copied folder. Yes, definitely. Autosave, you go to File, and then you check this box right here. Okay, thank you guys for listening. I'm gonna close this Zoom room up, just experiment with some quick comments, and copy your source code so that you can start adjusting it for 4.7.3.